Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to give folks a minute or so to come on in the webinar here before we get started. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Technology Tuesdays. My name is Lydia Nimke, and I'm the adult librarian at the Tippecanoe branch of the Milwaukee Public Library, and I am excited to bring you today's presentation all about fandoms. You are, of course, muted and have your cameras turned off by default, but please don't let that stop you from asking any questions you may have about today's material and engaging with us in the chat down below. With us today in the background, we have the wonderful Beth Gabriel from the East Branch.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm here to help with any tech questions you might have and to read your questions out loud to Lydia. So make sure to put them in the Q&A as we go along.
Thank you, Beth. All right. So for our main concepts today, we're going to talk about how you can interact with fandom on Reddit, on social media, and how you can find things that add to your enjoyment of your favorite TV shows, movies, and books on YouTube as well. And then we'll just briefly touch on some other avenues you could explore as well. But before we do that, we have to make sure everyone has an understanding of what I mean when I say fandom. So a fandom is a subculture composed of fans characterized by a feeling of empathy and camaraderie with others who share a common interest in a specific source material. Fans they may be interested in even minor details of the object of their fandom and spend time and energy involved with their interest, often as part of a social network with particular practices. So there's a difference between fandom affiliated people and people who have a casual interest. A fandom can really grow around any area of human interest or activity, and the subject of a fan interest can be narrowly defined, focused on something like an individual celebrity, or it can encompass entire hobbies, genres, or fashions. While the word fandom is now used to apply to groups of people fascinated by any subject, the term has its roots in those with an enthusiastic appreciation for sports. Merriam-Webster's dictionary traces the usage of the term back as far as 1903. A lot of fandoms have overlap. There are a number of large conventions that cater to fandoms such as film, comics, anime, TV shows, cosplay, and the opportunity to buy and sell related merchandise. Annual conventions like Comic-Con, WonderCon, DragonCon. Locally, we've got Anime Milwaukee. Down in Illinois, there's Adepticon, Wizard World. All of the conventions are some well-known and highly attended events that cater to overlapping fandoms. Just for more of a historical perspective, fans of the literary detective Sherlock Holmes are widely considered to have comprised the first modern fandom, and they held public demonstrations of mourning after Holmes was killed off in 1893. And they created some of the first fan fiction as early as about 1897 to 1902. Outside the scope of media, Railway enthusiasts are another early fandom with its roots in the late 19th century that began to gain in popularity and increasingly organized in the first decades of the early 20th century. Members of a fandom associate with one another, often attending those conventions I mentioned and publishing and exchanging newsletters and fanzines. And originally, all of that was in print-based media, but fandoms have migrated much of their communication and interaction onto the internet, which they also use for the purpose of just archiving detailed information pertinent to their given fan base. Oftentimes, fans will congregate on forums and discussion boards to share their love for and criticism of specific work. Trends on these discussion boards have been known to influence the writers and producers of television shows and other forms of media. The media fandom for the TV series Firefly, for example, was able to generate enough corporate interest to create a movie after the series was canceled after only one season, and it was a wonderful show. The fandom showed that there were many, many people who were waiting for more, so they made an entire movie for them, for us, let's say. Some fans will write fan fiction, stories based on the universe and characters of their chosen fandom. Especially at events, fans may also partake in cosplay, which is a portmanteau between the words costume and play. It just involves the creation and wearing of costumes designed in the likeness of characters from a source work. For example, in the background picture, you see all of these Spider-Men and Spider-Gwens and a little Wonder Woman with her back to the camera. All of that is cosplay. Others create fan vids, and still others create fan art. So there is a lot of user-generated, fan-generated content out there. So I would love if you all who are here with me today could tell me some of your favorites. What are you a fan of? Your favorite TV show, movie, book series, genre of movies, something you always recommend to others or generally like to talk about. And I'll be able to use that in some of my examples. I have some stock examples that I've just gathered, but I want to share something that's of value to you, if at all possible. And I will use those when we get into our demonstration. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. Ooh, so Beth says, X-Files, Star Wars, and now our flag means death. Ooh, I've heard good things about that. And Golden Girls, of course. Deborah says gaming fandoms for her granddaughter. Awesome. Awesome. Keep them coming and I'll keep checking the chat. So the first source we're going to talk about today is Reddit. And if you spend a lot of time online, chances are you have heard of Reddit, especially since the site bills itself as the front page of the internet. And it's not an entirely like boastful remark. As of last year, Reddit was one of the top 10 most popular sites in the US and top 20 worldwide. So very popular site. Tom says Lady Gaga. Awesome, awesome. We'll definitely be able to use those in our examples. So what exactly is Reddit? Essentially, Reddit's a massive collection of forums where people can share news and content or comment on other people's posts. Whether you're into sports, TV fan theories, or a never-ending stream of cute videos of pets or life tips to make your life easier, Reddit has them. Reddit is broken up into more than 1 million communities known as subreddits, each of which covers a different topic. So the name of a subreddit begins with an R and a slash, which is part of the URL that Reddit uses. For example, we have R Milwaukee just popped up here on the screen. So this is gonna be a subreddit that has a bunch of information about Milwaukee, people discussing things about our city. R/NBA is a subreddit where people talk about basketball and things of that nature. And R Board Games is a subreddit for people to talk about board games. So some of the bigger fandoms, which I've taken some screenshots for the next 2 slides, will have their own subreddit. But if it's a more niche area, there are probably posts in like an overarching subreddit. For example, my favorite movie of all time is a film that had a super tiny budget and came out in 1987 called Whistle and I. Now, there's not a Whistle and I subreddit because it's old and it's not technically that, visually stunning or anything like that. It's not a major studio film, but there are still a lot of posts about Whistle and I in places like Our Movies, Our Cult Classics, Our United Kingdom, and so on. So even if there isn't a subreddit, there are definitely some posts. Gail says, I'm just reading the chat here, Gail says she's into Finding Your Roots, Saints and Sinners, Create TV. All right, very cool. Thanks, Gail. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Beth. So, but if you're into one of these big fandoms like Star Trek, for example, you'll be able to go to our Star Trek and probably a variety of other like offshoots to find interesting content about the development of new films, how people are receiving the latest episode of Discovery, or, a discussion about the latest episode of Picard and things like that. Similarly, if you're into The Simpsons, you'll find a subreddit dedicated to The Simpsons for fans of The Simpsons talking about the show and how it comments on culture and society and so forth. Now, we see some important information on this page here. The About Community section tells you generally what this community is dedicated for. There are some communities that are just about sharing funny Simpsons memes, for example. But this one is just for a fan base for, anyone who's a fan of The Simpsons. But if you posted maybe something about like Family Guy in this Reddit, it might get deleted by the moderators. So, you want to be in line with what the community is intended for. You'll easily be able to create your post up at the top here just by clicking. You can add in images and videos as well as links. And if you were to scroll down this page, you would just continue to see posts to this subreddit. We'll definitely go over more of how to interact with Reddit as we go on, but that just gives you a little idea there. So there are 5 basic things you can do in Reddit. You can do more, but these are the basics to interact and engage with other folks interested in the same fandom as you. You'll search for either communities, subreddits, or posts. You can read and view these posts. You can post yourself. You can make comments on posts, and you can upvote and downvote posts, and that is pretty unique to Reddit. And here's just a list of some subreddits that we can explore together to kind of give you an idea of how, broad or narrow it can be. So I'm just going to click on one of these to take us to the website, and then we'll do some searches for some of the things you all are interested in. Alrighty. Here we go. So this is the Star Wars subreddit. Our Star Wars. And again, we can create a post right up here at the top. Just by clicking in it, we'll be taken to the create a post page where we can, add in all the fun stuff. As we scroll down the page, we'll see all the posts that have been made. And this is the hot posts. So the posts that are having a lot of discussion, being interacted with a lot right now. You can also filter it to the newest post. So what has been posted most recently, or the top posts of the day, week, month, year, or the whole time that this subreddit has existed. All right. Once you click on a post, you can read more about it. If there is, a long text of information in the original post, you can read more about it. You can also upvote or downvote the individual post. Upvote is kind of like a like on Facebook. You like it, you can hit that upvote, and a downvote is if there was a dislike button on Facebook. You don't like it. Doesn't really carry, a huge amount of weight or anything. It's just a simple user rating system. And you can comment on this post. So what is the total population of Tatooine? I have no idea, but you can comment on it if you have thoughts on the question. And if we scroll down, we can see what other Reddit users have said. And their replies to what other Reddit users have said. You can reply yourself to any comment, and you can also upvote and downvote individual comments as well. Now, we can search the whole Reddit site for different communities based on what you all have said you're into. Let's see. So let's start off by searching for Golden Girls, and we'll run through the list. So here are, when you do a search on Reddit, you're gonna be defaulted to see all the posts that mention Golden Girls. And then over on the right here, you can see some of the communities that are based around the Golden Girls. If you want to see just the communities, you can click on the communities tab up at the top here to see just the communities that are about Golden Girls or mention Golden Girls often. If you're interested in gaming, generally, maybe you want to see what our gaming has in its subreddit. And if we click on this subreddit and are kind of interested in what it has, we think it's got valuable content, we can click to join that subreddit. And from there, our gaming will show up on our homepage of Reddit whenever we log in, and we can take a look at that. Now, gaming is kind of a broad fandom. People who are gamers may be interested in many, many, many different kinds of games. If you're interested in a specific game, I know the kids are really into, what are the kids really into? Roblox, Minecraft, things like that. There's definitely a Roblox and a Minecraft subreddit as well. So Lady Gaga as a musician is going to have a lot of different groups and places where people want to sing her praises because she's very talented. All right. So our Lady Gaga totally exists. I guess there's also a Discord for more discourse. And the About community says a subreddit for fans of Lady Gaga. There are 42,000 nearly members of this group, and 88 of them are online, we can see. So if we wanted to join this group and get some feedback on your, Lady Gaga costume, I don't know, you could know that there are 88 people online who may respond to you. And let's check out, Create TV. It has a small community on Reddit. Interesting. I've never heard of Create TV, unless it's the channel. I think it is the channel. We'll have to see if there's more Facebook groups dedicated to Create TV. Indeed. All right, let's jump back into the presentation. Are there any questions on Reddit specifically before we do that? It's just a brief overview. If you're interested, reddit.com, and you can make an account the usual way and start looking for things you're interested in.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any questions yet. Just a reminder, everyone, you can put those in the Q&A if you do have any.
Awesome. Let's get back into the presentation and talk more about social media. Now, as with many, many things I've shown you all over many of the Tech Tuesdays, social media is a great place to build connections based on your specific interests. And because I've kind of more or less covered it in the past in a variety of formats, I won't go too in depth into it at all. But I do have just a casual search that I'm going to do on a couple different platforms to show you where you can go to engage with some of those fandoms. All right. So first up is Instagram. And if you weren't able to attend the Tech Tuesdays on Instagram, it's all available on the Milwaukee Public Library's YouTube channel. So you can definitely view it that way. So pretty much on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you're just going to search for through the hashtags to find your particular interest and potentially follow that hashtag. So I'm going to play this video, and here I'm just searching for the Milwaukee Bucks. And you see the hashtag Milwaukee Bucks has 350,000 posts associated with it. So when we click on that, we can see the top posts or the recent posts, and even just the reels that have that hashtag in them. And from there, we can scroll on through. If we see any accounts that are posting Milwaukee Bucks specific content that we want to follow, like Bucks Nation, we could follow that account. And if anything, if we just want to keep aware of the general, buzz around the hashtag Milwaukee Bucks, we can follow the hashtag itself so that a few of the top posts each week that have that hashtag will show up on your Instagram homepage. And from there, you might want to like those accounts and so on and so forth. And for Twitter, it's going to be pretty similar. I actually went on Twitter and started to search for the Milwaukee Bucks as well to, kind of give you all a one-to-one comparison. But then I saw that there had been over 2,000 tweets about the Brewers in the last hour. So I was like, oh, might as well get the Brewers here too. So we're looking at for Brewers related tweets. And here we can see the top, or we can toggle over to the latest tweets, photos, videos, etc. And for the Milwaukee Brewers, they have their own Twitter account, so you can follow them specifically if you want to see anything official that they've posted. Or you can just scroll through the top and see, what people are saying about them. And of course, all the all the things I showed you in the Twitter Tech Tuesdays still apply. You can like posts, reply to them, share them. Retweet, so on. I must admit, I do not know anything about sports or really follow any of the teams, unfortunately, so I'm really confused looking at some of this stuff. I think people are happy, so that's a good thing. And then on TikTok, very similar. You'll go to the Discover button at the bottom of your screen. And that's where the search bar is for you to enter your search term in. And from there, we're going to search for the Milwaukee Bucks. And we can, again, scroll through those top TikToks or look at specifically videos, sounds, lives, so on. And TikTok is, a little bit of a different beast just because of how TikTok works. If you are into the Bucks and you come across something that talks about the Bucks, and you like that video, it will start to show you more things about basketball, more things about the Bucks, more things about Milwaukee. So if you like a particular fandom and you see something that about it that comes across on your For You page, make sure to like it to, support the person making that content and, kind of tailor your For You page to your specific interests as well. Now for Facebook, we've just gone over Facebook pages and groups in some depth. You can search for Facebook accounts or pages of the creators of your favorites. If they're, a podcaster, like an individual person, they may very well have a Facebook account that they, use for business and they add people onto, who are fans of them. Or if they are, a bigger celebrity, Lady Gaga, for example, she probably has a Facebook page that she manages. Not she, her team. Her team manages for interaction with fans and announcements about, upcoming tour dates and things like that. And of course, there's lots of groups. I don't know why my mind was in the Scottish Highlands when I was finishing this presentation up yesterday, but I did a search for Outlander, which is a TV show series and a book series. And I didn't even scroll down the page. There's already, at least 10 groups all around Outlander, the series and the show, and some of them have 40,000 members, some of them have a couple thousand. They're all pretty active. So just to show you how niche you can get, this isn't an extremely popular show or anything. It's a show that comes out on a premium cable network. But there's tons of groups about it, tons of places to chat to other people who've read the books or watched the show. So, yeah. Are there any questions before we continue?
Let's see. Arlene would like to know, do you need to join Reddit in order to check out what it has to offer?
So no, you don't actually have to make a Reddit account to read Reddit. You do need an account to do things like comment. I know upvote, maybe. You don't need a Reddit account just to read and to search through things. But if you want to join a community and engage with people, you do need an account to do that. You can get a Reddit account with your Google account, I believe, and perhaps with your Facebook account as well. If you wanted to link those up, you could. Otherwise, it's just a simple email sign up process. But to check it out, no, you do not need an account, which is really cool because for a lot of these websites, Facebook, Twitter, you have to have an account before you can even really interact at all. But you can read all the Reddit posts you want, read all the comments you want without having an account there. Thank you for the question, Arlene.
All right, and that looks about it for right now. So yeah, awesome.
Cool beans. Now for YouTube, which I've kind of nestled under social media, even though it's, kind of distinct from the other ones, there's a lot of original content on YouTube that speaks about a certain work of, art, music, actors, TV series, the whole gambit. I've gone over YouTube again in a lot of depth in a previous Tech Tuesday, so I won't be going through how to use it today. But I will break down, some of the different fan-based YouTube videos that you might be interested in into some categories and show you a brief clip of an example of that kind of video. You may be interested in commentary channels from creators, YouTube channels from specific shows and networks, or reaction channels. So let's see some examples of those. One way to learn and interact, one way to learn about different channels from YouTube is to view channels from creators, be they stars, writers, producers, makeup artists, stuntmen, what have you. I'm sure at least there are many people from all of those categories who have their own YouTube channels or are featured on someone else's. In the example clip I have here, I'm featuring the author of one of my favorite books of last year, Jiren J. Zhao. They wrote the YA book Iron Widow and make content for YouTube about Asian and more specifically Chinese culture. So we're going to go ahead and play that. So as I was saying, I'm like a double, triple fan of everything going on here, and I am sure you will be able to find some content on YouTube that's similar in the respect that you appreciate it and identify with it in multiple different ways. I'm a huge fan of the MCU or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm also a big fan of many different Asian media exports, be it anime or manga or K-drama, K-pop, whole gambit. I'm also deeply interested in the study of cultures and the historical context of art. And then, of course, I just like Sharon because they're funny and they wrote a good book that I like. So multiple different spheres all converge for me to really enjoy the content that I find on their channel. There are also a lot of television shows and television networks that have their own YouTube channels, whereas they'll post things like best of compilations from a beloved TV series, deleted scenes, or sneak peeks and trailers of up and coming seasons of a show or movies they're making. And they may even post some behind the scenes things. A lot of them also post extra content or like interviews with their stars. And that's a good way to engage in the fandom and see new and interesting content from people you like that others may not have seen. For example, this clip here is from the AMC Network's YouTube channel. And I'll just play it. So I really like that video. I was a big fan of Breaking Bad when it came out, and I'm a fan of the poem. I find myself referencing a lot as I'm playing some of the board games I have, that have, these figures just, strewn about a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And yeah, there's nowhere else, maybe besides Reddit, where you're gonna be able to find a cool, beautifully shot video of Bryan Cranston reading Ozymandias. And I think that's just absolutely fabulous. So another kind of channel that you're going to find on YouTube is a reaction channel. And these are really great because they let you get the insight of another person watching the content you may be a fan of. And they'll give you like a new perspective on a form of media. The person reacting may be a comedian, they may be a doctor. There are a lot of doctor reacts videos on YouTube. They may be a linguist or an accent coach watching movie stars who've had to adopt an accent for a role. They may be a former CIA agent or former soldier watching a spy movie or things like that. So in this example, this is Dr. Kirk Honda, I believe, and his channel Psychology in Seattle, where he, as a psychologist, watches some reality TV dating type shows. I think in this one, he's watching a 90 Day Fiance spinoff, but he also watches things like The Circle and Love is Blind, the more popular reality dating shows, and talks about the psychology behind some of the things folks in these shows are doing, to kind of make reality TV educational, which is awesome, and teach us a little bit about the human condition. So we can look at a short clip from this.
All right, so there are, many other different kinds of reaction channels, and one of my favorites is from a woman named Mama Dr. Jones, and she is an OBGYN and a mother. And she will react to shows like I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant and Call the Midwife, and kind of give us some of the medical details, diagnoses she may give in that situation, as they pertain to the show we're watching. So again, it can be quite educational. And then YouTube also has a bunch of fan created videos, and a lot more content to engage with, and the comments and YouTube are maybe not as valuable as some other forums, but they may be. It all depends on kind of the community the YouTube channel has created. So. And there are definitely other avenues to engage with your fandom in. Things like Tumblr to see some user-created content there. You can read blogs about specific subjects that you're interested in just by doing a Google search for the subject and blog at the end of it. And there are probably podcasts. There are definitely podcasts about the things you all are interested in. Absolutely. Gaming, X-Files, Golden Girls, Lady Gaga, Saints and Sinners. There's definitely a podcast about those things. One that I find very cute is Gilmore Guys, where two people who identify as guys watch the show Gilmore Girls for the first time together and talk about it. And that was one of my favorite shows when I was a teenager. There are also lots of books. Come visit us at the library. We have a whole section books about Marvel, books about Star Trek, Downton Abbey, Doctor Who, Hamilton, lots of books about pop culture. And so come ask a librarian and we'll take you to them, and you can take a bunch of them home with you. You can also check out Etsy if you're looking for like physical items. Maybe you are not super interested in, going to discussion forums and talking to people you don't necessarily know, but maybe you want to start your cosplay to go to your first convention and you're looking for the perfect materials to make you look like Storm from X-Men or Captain America. You can maybe start on Etsy and find some cool handmade stone pieces to add to your costume. Or maybe you just want a cool mug or poster or piece of art inspired by your fandom. And then the last one, fandom.com, I just learned about this like a few hours ago, so I haven't really used it a lot, but it seems like a cool place to go to read articles and like opinion pieces. I wish I had known about it earlier, but yeah, that's also an option for engaging with your fandom in a slightly different way. All right. And that is pretty much all I have for you today. You will, of course, receive a follow-up email from me in the next few days with a link to a recording from today's presentation. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those or go over anything or whatever the case may be.
Doesn't look like there's any additional questions, so make sure to get those in that Q&A before we end, everyone. But otherwise, thank you, Lydia. That was awesome.
Fun. Wonderful. So I will say that I want to thank you all so much for joining us today for Technology Tuesdays and learning about fandoms. Next week, we'll switch gears for the next 4 Tech Tuesdays, and we'll be in Microsoft May, where our first subject is Outlook for email. If you have any precursory questions about that, feel free to email me at lcnimke@milwaukee.gov or respond to the follow-up email, and I'll be sure to try and go over it. And yes, thank you all so much for joining us today. If you're interested in any other programming from the Milwaukee Public Library, I highly encourage you to follow us on social media. If you search for the Milwaukee Public Library, you'll probably find us. And you can visit npl.org/calendar to see our schedule of events. We are firmly back to in-person programming now. And we, of course, will continue our suite of virtual offerings as well. So once again, thank you for joining us and have a wonderful rest of your week.